to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the T30. It's a Tier 9 American turreted tank destroyer. It's located on the north spawn of Abbey, and it's under the command of TheCrazyPlatypus. And yes, Wargaming, you've mucked it up again because we've got no engine noises. Yep, we can either have engine noises or we lose the tracks. And it actually looks better with the tracks, I can tell you, but it's very frustrating not to have the engine noises. Anyway, the T30, it's one of a series of tanks built by the Americans to test various configurations and equipment after the end of the war. It includes the T29, the T30, the T32 and the T34. And basically it was the same hull but with different guns mounted in the turrets. The hull was fairly weak, but the turrets and the guns were incredibly good. In fact, the T30, you had the choice of either the 105mm as the stock gun, which is the same as on the T29, or you have the 120mm, which is the same as on the T28 heavy tank, or you have the 155mm T7 gun, which is actually the same as on the T95, the Doom Turtle. Well, we can see from this one that, yep, he's got the T7, 750 Alpha, 276mm of pen with standard AP, and with the APCR that goes massively upwards to 320mm. It's very, very strong on the turret, but very weak on the hull, and if you want to pen this tank, just aim for the hull. In fact, if you're facing one of these in battle, in fact, you're in a lot of danger because the only way you can really get at them is to rush them from several directions at the same time. Even if you try to aim for the weak spot, which is that cupola right at the back, all the T30 driver has to do is raise his gun and waggle it at you, and it makes it very difficult to try and hit that cupola. Anyway, it looks like the TheCrazyPlatypus is going up onto the section overlooking the East Passage. Just see if you can spot any enemy in the distance. Nothing coming to sight. Now, they only produced two T30s, and in fact they produced them with a different engine to the T29. The T30 ended up with the Continental AV1790-3 air-cooled V12 engine. Oh, his first shot wipes out a Shrek. Or are we calling them Sputniks now? I think it's Shrek, it's an easier name. Yeah, it's got a habit of doing that sort of thing, this gun. Oh, watch out, because there's somebody in the castle grounds, I think, and his teammate just took a hit. Let's have a look back at his own cap area, because it looks like the enemy came straight up the west side. Yep, didn't get a hit on the TVP, but he could have. The reload is very long. It's 20.13 seconds, and I'm not sure we can see the reload status for the TheCrazyPlatypus, but I think it's probably somewhere around about 17 seconds or thereabouts. Note that one ricocheted off. The front of the 100 is quite strong when angled. But he's in a better position now, and he might be able to get shots into that Renegade. That will be a useful hit. Okay, he's going for the 100 again. Tries to go for lower plate. This time he gets it, and he gets 790, which is a high roll. Okay, so they only made two T30s with a slightly different engine to the T30, to the T29 rather. Never actually put into production, although it is still at Fort Benning, so you can see it there. In fact, I think I've got a picture somewhere of Sophie Line climbing on top of a T30 or giving it a lot of loving caresses. It's a very meaty tank. It's and it's well looked after as well, the one at Fort Benning. Now, originally the T30 was going to be manually loaded. Oh, lovely shot there. Got the cupola of the Renegade and took him out. So originally it was going to have manually loaded, but these shells were going to be incredibly heavy because, of course, they were 155mm shells. So in the end, they decided they needed to investigate and find out if they could put an autoloader in this tank. And then for that, they were going to have a hatch at the back to chuck the spent cartridge out afterwards. The gun would actually have to change whatever angle it was at, realign so it was straight. Then the autoloading mechanism would kick into gear, push the new shell in, close the breech, and then align it again with the target. So there's a lot of little operations, including, of course, getting the spent cartridge out of the breech and out the back of the turret. That time he got him. 721 from that one. That's all he had left. Okay, moving on. Now, it actually does have an excellent gun mantlet. It has good depression, 10 degrees, massive alpha, good penetration, and it's also got very large tracks. It's got a reasonably high-powered engine as well. Going to be able to get a shot on that object 252U. If he pokes out too often, he might just get a shot. Oh, he does! Great shot there, 357. He almost lobbed the shell at the guy, almost like a baseball lob. You can see a Ferdinand up there. Now, I think he's just moving to try and get a good shot, but he's been spotted. And, oh no, that one hit the tracks. So he didn't get any damage, and in fact he's just been hit by the gun, the main gun of a T95, but luckily it hit the tracks. And of course, as I said, that's the same gun that's mounted on this vehicle. This time he'll get it right. Yep, finished him off. But it tells us there's a doomed turtle to the west of us. We try to go across that gap, he will fire another round at us. The UDES at the moment is spotting, you see, he's up above us. The best way to handle this is actually to go all the way around, come up behind the UDES and finish him off. Okay, and I think that's what the Crazy Platypus is going to do. The bad thing about this tank is actually it does require a lot of patience because it's got a very long reload. And the hull's very weak, so if you don't go hull down on targets, they will put rounds through you. It has fairly poor agility, even though it's got a very powerful engine, and it's got a slow turret traverse as well. It's a priority target for many players, and of course, because it's so slow, Arty can actually get decent shots onto him. But it is quite an interesting tank destroyer to play. Technically, it is though a heavy tank because although it's listed in the game as a tank destroyer, the US Army considered it the T30 heavy tank. So it's not a tank destroyer, it's a heavy tank. Okay, Udis is about to get a rather nasty wake up if he's still here. Hello! That's the end of his game. Garage. As Dr. Nix would say. Okay, and that means now there's only one enemy left. It's the T95, but to get to him, we've got a fairly long drive. I think what the Crazy Platypus is going to do is get below his gun depression and then come around the rock to the west. He's going to go down right to the south and cut around. It looks like the others have had a significant number of shots from that T95. There he is. Yeah, he just took a massive hit though, and the ST1's decided he's fed up with getting shots from that T95, so he's going to go up there and deal with him as well. He might want to let Crazy Platypus go first, because Crazy Platypus is still 100% health. Yep, played the game well, didn't suffer any damage, mostly because the shots that the enemy fired at the Crazy Platypus actually hit the tracks, so yep, that was good playing. Now, oh, took one hit. Oh, now that's interesting, because he fired, and unfortunately, he didn't get the shot in, but you see now, although he's blocked by the T95, that's when the ST1 is going to get behind the guy. And we're going for the Polar. Yep, one big hole in the cupola, makes them a one shot, and the ST1 finishes them off for the game. That was a good game. Well, that was an ace tanker game for the TheCrazyPlatypus and the T30. Not the first time they had an ace tanker, they've had them before. And this was also a fire effect for doing more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle. And when he took out the Unit 16, he got a top gun because he got at least 6 enemy vehicles. His win rate from the game, 6,311, which is Super Unicum standard and quite a bit more. Let's have a look at team score. Okay, well, he's working his way up to the third mark, as you can see. He got the second highest damage in the game. The Skoda T30 got the highest with a high caliber Confederate and a tank sniper, but didn't survive the battle. He got 5,731. TheCrazyPlatypus did survive the battle, but did take one hit from the T95. 4,940 hit points of damage to the TheCrazyPlatypus, and the third highest damage went to the Skoda T50 on the enemy team with 3,887. When it came to kills, though, it was the TheCrazyPlatypus. There are 6 kills in that game. The next highest scorers being the Skoda, the ST1, the 252U, the 907, the T95, and the Ferdinand on the enemy team, all with 2 kills apiece. So 3 times Platypus managed to get 3 times the next best player. And when it came to base XP, in second place here, because the Skoda T50, with that very high score, managed to get 1,325. TheCrazyPlatypus got 1,245, not too far behind. And the third highest player was the Scorpion with 1,066. And they were the only 3 who managed to get over 1,000. So, of course, they were the lead players in the game. He fired 15 rounds, got 13 direct hits on the enemy, 9 penetrations, damage of 4,940, of which 3,406 were at more than 300 meters. 3 hits received, 2 penetrations, 1 non-penetrations. Well, one of those penetrations was from the T95. In fact, it was the only penetration taken during the entire game. The non-penetration was actually one from the T95 that went into the tracks, would you believe it? So, yes, and I can't remember how much with the other penetration. I'll have to look that one up afterwards. 7 enemy vehicles were damaged, 6 were killed, 750 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 43,391 credits, but because it was on a free play account and because he did use some premium ammo, he actually ended up with a negative value of 16,596 credits. 30 bonds earned during that game, 1,245 base XP times 2 for the first victory, 2,490 experience points altogether. So the T30, yeah, it's quite interesting. You have to watch out for the fact that it is a bit slow on certain aspects like traversing and the like, but you play it like any weak-hulled tank destroyer, or weak-hulled heavy tank rather, and just make use of that phenomenal turret, which really can bounce a lot of rounds. The only thing you don't want to come up against is a tier 10 tank, which might have the ability to just pen the turret straight off with their first shot without even looking at the weak spots. They'll just aim for the front of the mantlet and it'll go straight through. The mantlet's incredibly strong. If you aim for the side of the turrets on these things, normally it will bounce off, and I can show you that in the armor profile right now. Here's the armor profile for the T30, and you can see that the turret is incredibly strong. You're looking at 215.9 millimeters of impacted armor, but it's actually coming out at 270 because of slight angling. Look at that mantlet, 279 millimeters. You're not going to get through that. It's the lower plate actually, or upper plate rather I should say, is only 102 millimeters with only 133 because it's angled. And you can see the lower plate as well is very weak, 70 millimeters coming out at 120. Sides of the vehicle, again, with slight angling, it's 76 millimeters coming out at 100, so if you can get the shell in through the sides. The sides of the turret, again, fairly weak, 127 millimeters coming out, it's fairly slab-sided, so you can get a pen. The weak spot from the front, of course, is that cupola, but you can only see that if the guy is actually offering you the turret by looking straight ahead or looking slightly down. If he's in a hull down position and he's looking at you like this, you can't see that cupola. It's virtually impossible to see and therefore he can get it's very difficult to get a penetration. But if you can get around into there, you can see it's actually fairly weak. It's only 178 from the front, whereas of course the rest of the turret is very strong. So you can possibly penetrate that. 51 millimeters there. Yep, you could probably get it through the top of the cupola if he shows you the cupola. If you can get behind this thing, it's a lot easier. 51 millimeters slab-sided, 102 there slab-sided, so you'll easily get the pen. If we show you the live version, you'll actually get an idea of how difficult it is. Yeah, you can see the turret, you just don't want to touch because it's just too strong. And so long as they hide the hull, they won't get pens. You can see there is this weak spot on this side of the vehicle. But yes, if you're driving a T30, just stay hull down on the enemy and they shouldn't be able to pen. If we can see the modules, you can got the driver up front on the right hand side, driver's mate on the left hand side. There's a big ammo rack on the floor of the vehicle right underneath where the turret is. We can see that we've got the gunner on the left hand side of the tank with the loaders either side of the vehicle, and the tank commander is sitting centrally right at the back in that cupola. Yeah, and he's got ammo racks right next door to him either side with the radio directly behind. So if you want to take out the commander, you know where to aim for because you can see that big cupola, and that's where he's located. The engine at the back sandwiched between two fuel tanks with the transmission coming to the drive wheels at the rear. So in order to get the ammo rack, you just need to aim between the tracks. If you want to get an ammo rack off the bustle, you could aim there. I'm trying to get that round again. That's it. Bring the gun round, and then you can see. Just aim for the bustle. You'll probably get the commander at the same time. And yes, it's easy to pen it from the side. Not so easy to pen this thing from the front. I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.